Hello and welcome. My name is Herbert Backhausen. I'm a senior solution consultant with Oracle NetSuite, and today I want to show and demonstrate the demand planning module that comes with NetSuite. Here's the agenda for today. First, I want to give a brief introduction into demand planning. Then we're going to look at the item and the demand planning setup. We run through a business process where we review the historical data, calculate the demand plan, adjust the demand based on market information, and review the outcome. And we finish it all up with conclusions and limitations of the NetSuite offering. The underlying principle of every manufacturing and distribution company is to balance supply and demand. Unfortunately, this is where most ERP systems fall short. The vast majority of ERP systems, even today, only support the supply side of this equation with their MRP functionality. The demand planning is often left to third-party add-on systems that frequently pull data out of the ERP and send the results back. Thus, the need for complex integrations. NetSuite is different. It has a built-in demand planning module that works from the same data pool as the supply planning, thereby eliminating integrations. So let's go into NetSuite and have a look at the item and demand planning setup. In our example, we're using our hummus in 8-ounce container item. In the purchasing inventory section, we indicate by using time phased as our replenishment option that the planning of this item will be governed by demand planning. If this item is a new product without any demand history, we can use the alternate source item field to refer to the history of a like item to base our calculations on. The expected demand change field is used as a trend indicator to forecast products with seasonality fluctuations in their history. Since the demand can be different by location, we further have to change some settings at the location level. Under planning, we first pick the source upon which demand planning is basing its calculations on. This can be based on historical entered and planned orders, forecast and orders, forecast consumption, where forecast takes existing orders into account and consumes them, or forecast from demand plan, which doesn't look at history, but instead uses opportunities, quotes, sales orders, item fulfillments, cash sales, and invoices. Next, we set the demand time fence to delineate the day up to which demand planning should not create a forecast, but instead take the only existing orders into account. In case we choose forecast consumption as our demand source, we also have to fill in values for backwards and forward consumption days to indicate a time frame in which orders should be consumed. Now that we've finished the setup of our demand planning, let's have a look at a day in the life of a supply chain planner. As a planner, I want to first look at the demand history of my items at my location. Here, I can detect whether items have a more steady demand history or whether demand history is more intermittent. So I might want to use a different forecasting method for these items than for these items. Next, the planner is going to calculate the item demand plan. Here, first the selection of the subsidiary and the location. Then he picks the projection method, which can be either linear regression, moving average, sales forecast, which doesn't really do forecast, but only uses existing orders as the demand, and seasonal average. In our example today, I want to go through linear regression. I pick the interval, which I want to use for my planning, weekly or monthly. I'll do it weekly for now. How far in advance I want to project. picking 20 weeks, and I want to use 60 weeks as history to analyze. To make it easy, I mark all and click Submit. I overwrite my current quantities and let demand planning calculate the anticipated demand going forward. Once the demand planning is done, I can review the results, and I can make necessary changes going forward. So here we can see this is the demand that NetSuite demand planning calculated. But if I know of information that is not reflected in history, let's say a new store opening, which would increase the demand for this item at this location during this time frame, I'm free to do so. And I save the new demand plan. Next, I would pull up my report for item demand by item, and I would have a complete view across my location for all my items, so I can see the demand for each individual item per week. If I want to then determine whether my calculations were good or whether I need to do some tweaks going forward, I can look at my forecast accuracy and see where there were two big differences in between forecast and actual. Now here, as you can see, I have quite some forecast errors because I don't have much data here in my data set, but I think you get the idea to analyze the forecast against the actual quantity that occurs and then make adjustments going forward for the next planning period. So in this little demonstration, we took a look at the item and planning setup to support NetSuite's demand planning, and then walked through the typical steps a planner takes to understand the historical demand, generate a new demand plan, adjust the calculated demand, and evaluate the results. Now, as I pointed out at the beginning of our video, NetSuite is one of a very few ERP systems that has a built-in demand planning solution. The functionality is more than adequate for most manufacturing and distribution companies. For those who need more functionality, we do have partners who can provide that. What these partners can deliver that's not part of NetSuite's demand planning are additional forecasting methods, such as Box Jenkins, Holt Winters, etc., forecasting capabilities at customer group, item group, or even region level, automatic outlier detection, just to name a few. But for those companies who currently have no demand planning, NetSuite's demand planning module is a huge step forward in the evolutionary process and provides tremendous value. Thank you for watching. Should you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to your account manager. Goodbye.